Well, hello, church family. It is Pastor Heath here, and I wanted to come to you and give you an update. I know that you've all been waiting to hear from us, and you're looking for some direction about us gathering together again. And so I wanted to tell you that our services are going to begin on June 28th at 11 o'clock, and so we are going to get going. And but in that, we need to talk about a couple things before we get there. I wanted to address kind of quickly some of the frustration I think some of us had around this. I know that on June 9th it was announced that restrictions regarding how many people were allowed in the church had risen, and you can see that in this photo that I'm going to put up here for you. But what you also needed to read was there was a little asterisk at the bottom, and that is where we've struggled with getting organized regarding that. The caveat that they put in there kind of led us to this so-called kind of updated document here. It's about 8 pages long, and the matter of the fact is we were allowed to have more people, but the restrictions actually didn't change at all. And so the appearance of us being wide open and ready to go is what was communicated by the government, but wasn't entirely true when we started working through this, and so that's why it's taken us a little bit to get organized. So what that means for us is that we need to draft and implement some practices to minimize the risk of COVID-19, and so we're working on that. We also need to implement procedures for rapid response. If we did have an outbreak, we need to be able to let everybody know. We need to be able to contact everyone. Again, these are the rules that we're being told that we need to adhere to. We also need to ensure that we implement and have high level of sanitation, as well as personal hygiene and all the things connected with that. And so we all need to remember very clearly that as a church, we have the potential for the spread of infection. And because we are a large gathering, our opportunity is quite high. Yes, we are able to meet. Yes, we are able to have in-person gatherings. But in fact, it's going to look different. I need you to know that this is not go back to normal and we just carry on like it was before all of this. We actually have some guidelines that we need to follow. Whether we believe it's necessary or not, that is not the question. The truth of the matter is we are considered a business in the eyes of the government, and the government has advised us, as well as told us about the potential penalties if we don't adhere to some of these things. And so if we're found negligent in any way, that could produce some further problems for us or even further shutdown. And so we don't want to do that. We don't want to open and then have to close again. And so we're going to work hard on that. And so here is what we're going to do. Just give you a couple things that we need to do. We're going to have to rearrange the sanctuary a little bit in order to physically distance everyone. This includes that you need to sit with your family or your family unit or cohort families, people maybe you spend time with. So we're going to be working on a format for that in the next couple of weeks here so we can get ourselves organized. When you come to church, it'll be required that hand sanitizer and masks will be available. The government is actually going to be sending us some as they're providing them for churches. And so masks are encouraged by the government if you can't social distance. Ultimately, we're going to leave that up to you. But there's going to be notices posted, recommendations. You've seen them in all sorts of restaurants everywhere you go. We have to adhere, and we'll have them up around the building at the same time. At this time, we are going to ask you to refrain from shaking hands and hugging one another. I understand this is hard for church people, especially when we haven't seen each other for a while. But I would ask you that you could respect this rule out of love for one another and really to avoid any awkward situations for everyone involved. We also need to keep a record of who is in the building. This is a requirement that we have to follow in case there's an outbreak. We need to be able to notify people quickly as part of our rapid response plan. And so one plan of action we're considering is maybe to just take a photo of the congregation. We could just take one from the back of everybody's heads, or I could take one before we preach, just so we have a record of who was there instead of everybody signing in or signing out. The government protocol requires us that we keep that for 2 weeks in case there is an issue. That way we can remember who is here and who to contact. We also need to talk about worship quickly. Another area we need to address. Ultimately, the government is discouraging us from doing any sort of singing together. And so what we're going to do is we are going to do worship. The band is going to play from the front. You can stand or sit or kind of follow along on the screen or kind of mouth the words quietly. I know this might seem frustrating, and I actually believe that probably within a couple of weeks this will be relaxed and we can kind of start singing. But for now, we are going to follow the restrictions that have been handed to us by the government. When it comes to the children, recommendation is that children stay with their families and not wander to other areas of the building. We are going to have the doors closed leading to the upstairs. The only thing open is going to be kind of the foyer, bathrooms, and sanctuary. The rest of it, we're going to keep it all closed off. And so we're in summertime mode anyways. We never do programming for children. And so as far as we know, September should be good to go. We're not 100% sure because the schools haven't even fully announced. And so we will take some of that guidance as we get through summer. But we are anticipating Sunday school and kids club and all that stuff hopefully getting up started in the fall. So in all of this, we're going to need some of your help. We need to sanitize the building after our services. And so this can happen Sunday after church or even Monday morning. It would probably be easier to do Sunday after church. And so we need a couple of you as volunteers to maybe help us with that. Like any other business, we need to wipe down all the surfaces, everything that kind of got touched or played with, if you will. And so we need to do that when the service is over. And so if you could help us with that, that would be wonderful. You can email us here at the church, info@slavelakealliance.com, and we'll get that stuff organized. And so over for the next couple of weeks, we're trying to get everything ready. One of the things that we're kind of working on is we've been talking about this idea of, do we keep doing video? Is this the new way for us? Is this going forward? I know some of you may not even still be comfortable coming to church when we're open, and I want you to know that you are very important to us. And so we are looking at a way to continue to record our messages. It might not be fully operational for our first one, but what we're going to do for June 28th is I'll, worst case scenario, probably set up my laptop like I'm doing right now, and I'll preach to the congregation and we will film it this way. And so we want you to know you're not going to be left out in the cold. You're going to still be able to view online, but we're hoping to make some changes at the church and maybe make it part of what we do permanently. And so we're working on that a little bit as well. This Sunday's Father's Day. I probably don't need to remind you, ladies, since you never forget those kinds of things. So this Sunday, we're going to have a bit of a different thing. As you know, we just finished the book of James. Back in April, we were supposed to have our missionaries with us, Dan and Melody Ibsen. They were scheduled to come and speak to us, and they actually were supposed to speak to many churches within our region. And so unfortunately they couldn't, so they made a video of the presentation that they were going to do for us and up in Peace River and a bunch of others. And so they did a great job putting this video together with their church in Spruce Grove Alliance. And so we're going to be running that this Sunday. Gives me a bit of a break, a bit of a breather. It also allows me to kind of get organized for our next series. And so we're going to be starting a new series on June 28th. It'll be kind of back live together. And the question is what are we going to do? Well, we're going to be working on a little book in the Old Testament that I think is going to be very relevant with where we are today, whether it's our world or the COVID, government frustration, the racism, whatever it is that's going on. And one of the questions that I get from people all the time, whether Christian or non-Christian, is we often wonder, where is God? Where is God when evil seems to run rampant? Where is God when there seems to be injustice? How come he seems to be nowhere to be found, if you will? Why does God seem unfair in all of this? And so we're going to be starting a series in the book of Habakkuk, which is this tiny little book, kind of at the back part of the New Testament. And so I want to encourage you to, over the next week or so, 2 weeks, dig out the book of Habakkuk, look in your index if you need to find it, and to be able to read through that. It's 3 chapters. We're going to spend almost all of July working on it. And so I look forward to getting into that. And so I just want to say, I know that this has been a long season for all of us. I want to thank you for all of your support for this. And I understand that there is no such thing as a perfect church, perfect pastor, or perfect elders. Through this whole thing, we've tried to do the right thing. I don't know if we always succeeded, and maybe we didn't, but we're going to continue to learn by God's grace, and we're going to come together, and we're going to continue to move forward to be bigger and stronger and better. This was not how I envisioned my first year as your pastor. It's hard to believe it's going to be a year already in August, and the time has kind of flown by, and so I just want to thank you for your time and your energy, your finances, for continuing to float us through all of this. And again, as we get back together, I just would ask you all to continue to be patient. And I know some of us think rules and regulations are ridiculous and everything on, but we just want to do the right thing. We don't want to fight our government in this. We want to adhere to what they're asking us to. I really believe that it's going to change probably within the next couple of weeks, and a lot of this stuff that we're requiring you to do now will probably be relaxed, and we'll keep communicating about that as well. Otherwise, excited. June 28th, 11 a.m. We'll be ready to go, and hopefully we'll see you all there. I love you guys, and have a great week, and we will see you on June 28th.